everybody, my name is Mars. You can call me MG if you'd like, and if you've been around my channel for a little while, you know that starting off a vlog with this awkward lighting can only mean one thing, that thing being that it is late at night and I want to start a new book, but I can't start the book until I start the vlog that goes along with it. So here we are starting the vlog. This is going to be the first in what I'm planning to be a series of vlogs called Author Taste Test, where I basically have a long list of authors that I've heard great things about throughout the years, and I want to give them a try, but I don't really know where to start, so I'm going to pick a couple of books to try out from them. The first one, this vlog, as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail and everything, is for Rebecca Ross, who's been super popular these past couple of years for two of her duologies in particular, but I'm going to start with a different duology that she's written that I did not know existed until I went to her Goodreads page to look up the more popular books she's written, and I saw that she had this duology as well. So we're going to start with this one, which the book is called The Queen's Rising, and I believe that's also the name of the series. I didn't even read the blurb for this one, I just thought that 3 is a better number than 2, in my opinion. At least for vlogs, I feel like 3 books in a vlog is a nice number. But I didn't read the blurb for this. I have no idea what it's about. I'm just starting with this one because it is her least known, or at least the one that I've never heard of from this author. So I'm going to start reading this tonight. It is about 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, December 3rd, and I'm just gonna give it a go and let you know what I think of it, and then we will move on to the other books by her that are a little bit more popular, a little bit more well-known, and if I enjoy all of these books, then perhaps in, I was gonna say a few weeks, but more likely a couple of months, I can do a follow-up vlog where I finish out these duologies, because the best part of these series is that they're each only 2 books long, so you would think that means that they wouldn't linger in my purgatory of partially read series, but we'll see how things go. I'm gonna get started with reading The Queen's Rising, and then as I go on, I will give you updates as to what it's about, because like I said, I know absolutely nothing, so I'm gonna find out right now how I feel about at least the first part of it. Hello friends, it is Wednesday afternoon, and I'm here to give you an update on The Queen's Rising, because I finished part 1. So, I guess I should tell you what this book is actually about, since I didn't do that beforehand, because I didn't know. So basically, there's this country that everyone lives in where you can study what are called passions, and there's 5 of them. It's art, music, knowledge, wit. What's the 5th one? I don't remember the 5th one. Oh, dramatics, like theater. And so our main character, Brianna, the prologue is her at 10 years old, her grandfather bringing her to this house, I guess, to study under, being like, hey, you have these other girls that are training in these passions, I want you to take my granddaughter. And at first she's like, I don't really know, but then they have a conversation, and he convinces her to take Brianna under her wing, I guess, and that's where she first meets Cartier, I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm not French, and she ends up not really knowing which passion to follow. There's 5 other girls her age that are studying, 1 for each passion, and then she takes a year to study each one before settling on knowledge, which is history and medicine and stuff. So she only gets 3 of the 7 years to dedicate to that passion, whereas the other 5 girls have full 7 years, and then they are brought before people to try and get patronage under their passion. And that's the main bulk of the story for this first part, is leading up to this event, and that we see this event, and some strange things are happening to Brianna. So she is actually, only her mother is from this country, her father is from the neighboring kingdom, Mavana? Something like that. I really don't know the names of any of these places. I have not retained any of that information. But That actually used to be a queendom, and the queen's family had magic, but then the stone that held the magic was lost, and also the laws that were written that said that only queens can rule were lost, and then a bunch of kings since then is kind of the gist of it. So Brianna starts having what's called ancestral memories, where she's remembering stuff that happened to her ancestors, and it's an ancestor from her father's line. She doesn't know who her father is. She's an illegitimate child. Um, so then she goes to the person who runs this house that she's been studying under, and is like, "Hey, I've been having these things happen, and I'm starting to get concerned." And so it's decided that she is going to um, start working under this guy who they're gonna try and find either the stone or the laws to like kick the king of Mayvena or whatever it's called off the throne. Which like I don't really understand the motivation because I don't know, I just feel like that part of it hasn't really been built up. We don't really see why anybody would want to do that. We're a couple of times we're told that he's like a bad king and he's cruel and whatever, but we don't like see anything happening. And there's not really any motivation for Brianna specifically to be wanting to do this. Like, I don't get what she's gonna get out of it. Um, so that's a little bit weird. I'm loving the vibes. The vibes have been immaculate, and I really like the writing style. Another thing that I don't like, besides the loosey goosey motivations, is that I think her teacher is the love interest, which, like, don't get me wrong, I love a student teacher romance under certain circumstances. This is not one of those circumstances. So I said that she originally meets him when she's 10 and he's 18 at that time. And then she officially becomes his student when she's 15 and he would be 24? Is that correct? No, 23? Something like that. And then this like stuff happening between them where like nothing's like actually happened yet, but like we're getting hints about it. She's 17 and he would be what, 25? Like that's creepy. That would be creepy even if they didn't originally meet when she was 10 and he was 18. Like it's just real weird to me. I'm really not vibing with it. I'm trying to like push that out of my mind to just enjoy the book as is, but that is just not it for me. Like it's real weird, you know? So, anyway, I'm going to get back to doing stuff and update you at the end of part 2. I think there's 4 parts, 3 or 4. And so I'll just update you at the part breaks because it's easy for me to just know when to update you then. So I will see you at the end of the second part of The Queen's Rising. Okay, friends, I'm back on Thursday because I've just finished part 2 of The Queen's Rising, and I don't really have much more to say than what I said at the end of part 1. I'm still of the opinion that it's good, I'm enjoying it, but it's not like wowing me. I feel like I say this about a lot of books lately, but this is a book where I feel like it's really good. If it had been given one more round of developmental edits to really tie all of the different world building pieces together, it could be a great book. So it's just not quite hitting that for me. I don't know. I am enjoying the political intrigue because they're getting really into that now, and I've like forgiven the stuff that I found lacking in part 1. I'm like, this is how it's gonna be, so I might as well accept it. And I'm enjoying what's going on now. I do feel like there's been a couple of times where the people are plotting and they're like, well, if we do this thing, then this is going to be the result. And I'm like, why is that going to be the result? Like, we don't really understand. Like, for example, our main character, Brianna, is going undercover to make a distraction for the king. And they're like, well, if you, like, make this whatever for the king, this demand, this plea, while this other guy, Alanok, might be how it's pronounced, is there, then he's gonna take you to his castle to wait things out. But if you make it while he's not there, then you're gonna be stuck in the king's castle. I'm like, well, why would he take her to his castle? Why would the king not just keep her the whole time? But like that is what happened. She's now going to Alanok's castle, which I've got a theory as to who Brianna's father is, because I think we've established this, that her father is of this other country that they're trying to like get the king off the throne. I have a theory about who her dad is, and I'm like 99% certain that I'm going to be correct, so we'll just have to see. But yeah, like I said, not many more things to say than what has already been said. I do have 2 parts left to read, so I would say that I'll see you at the end of part 3, but I am very much known for skipping my final update on like a planned update schedule and just updating at the end. So I'll either see you when I finish part 3 or when I finish the book in its entirety, whichever one I feel like. Hello friends, it is Thursday night. I think I said in my earlier clip that it was Wednesday. That was incorrect. Yesterday was Wednesday, today's Thursday. But it's been a few hours since I spoke to you, and I have since finished reading The Queen's Rising. I'm sorry if you can hear cars going past. I'm in the bedroom, as you can easily see. Yeah, what did I think of this book? It was fine. Like, I don't have a ton of complaints. Like, there's nothing egregiously wrong with it. Maybe the age gap in the romance, but like, there's also not much of a romance. Like, it's kind of barely there. I think that would be my biggest complaint, actually, is the relationships between the characters. Not even just the romance, but like all of the different relationship dynamics. They're not really there. Like, they all could have been given a lot more time on page to actually like develop. It all seems like a little instantaneous to me. So that, I think, is my complaint. And like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed this book. I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much fantasy lately and I'm like burning out a little bit on it, which is an awful thing to say after the first book of 3 in a vlog where they're all gonna be fantasy. And also, I think I have like 2 or 3 more fantasy books on my TBR for the month, so that's a little bit concerning. Yeah, I don't know. I would liken this book to like if I went out for dinner and I ordered a steak and they just handed me a steak on a plate. Like, it would be good. I would enjoy it, but I'd be like wondering where the sides are. I'd be like, where's the potatoes? Where's the vegetable? Like, yeah, technically I got what I wanted, but like, it still feels like something's missing, you know? Like, it just didn't have anything spectacular about it. There was nothing grand or wild. And like, the twists, I guess, were very predictable. And that might just be because I've been reading a lot of fantasy lately. Specifically, I've been reading a lot of YA fantasy. And also, I'm a writer, so I feel like I spot twists more easily than someone who's not a writer. Like, I know how to craft twists, so I think it's easier for me to spot them. But like, yeah, I guess I've said all I have to say. I just didn't love this book, but I still had a fine time. Like, it was okay. I'm a little bit confused as to how this is the first book in a duology, because it's very wrapped up at the end. Like, this is a standalone book. What do you mean there's a sequel? I have absolutely no idea where this second book is gonna go. But like, that's not something I have to worry about now. I'm not reading that. What I am gonna be reading is the next book for this vlog, A River Enchanted. I am very much looking forward to this one, despite my sentiments a couple minutes ago that maybe I'm burning out on fantasy. This is the book that made me decide to have this vlog, because if you've been around my channel, you might have heard me mention this. My friend Lynn was doing this, or still is doing this thing, I guess, where there's like this whole spreadsheet where there's a different theme each month, and you can either reread your own favorites for each theme, or you can look at the spreadsheet at what other people put as their favorites and read the other people's. And that's what I've been doing, and December's theme is elemental magic. And Madison, who has never steered me wrong before, she's the reason I read A Marvelous Light by Freya Marski. She's the reason why I read Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson, and I loved both of those books, so I trust Madison and her taste in books. She put A River Enchanted, and so that's why I'm going to be reading it. I know nothing about it, just like I knew nothing about The Queen's Rising. I've never read the blurb or anything. I guess I know that it's elemental magic, because that's the theme for the month. But beyond that, absolutely no idea, and I'm excited to jump into it. I did see at one point somewhere that it is a book that's also split into parts, the same way that The Queen's Rising is, which, by the way, I meant to update at the end of part 3, but then I saw that part 4 was only 3 chapters long, so I was like, I might as well read these last 3 chapters, so that's why I updated you at the end. But, yeah, A River Enchanted is also split into parts, so I love that for me, an easy breaking point to give updates. So, I'm going to go do my journal spread for The Queen's Rising, and then tonight, I guess, read a little bit of A River Enchanted. I think I'm going to take a break from reading because I've been reading a lot today and try and get some other stuff done in the next couple hours before bed. It's like 8 p.m., so I'm probably not staying up super late, like just a couple of hours, and then I'll read like maybe the first few chapters of A River Enchanted, but I will see you when I finish part 1 of the book. So I lied to you yesterday. I said that I was going to start reading A River Enchanted last night, Thursday. I didn't. I didn't start reading it until this evening. It is Friday now, and I started reading this at like 6 o'clock. It's now a little bit past 10, and literally all I've been doing is reading. So I've read part 1, which was only 9 chapters. I've been doing like some stuff in between chapters, but like most of what I've been doing has been reading. And I can say with certainty that I am enjoying this way more than The Queen's Rising. The Queen's Rising was just so bland, but this, spicy. Not in that way. That was not the right adjective. Seasoned. It's a well-seasoned story, if we're gonna keep with this food metaphor. Yeah, this story follows Jack. Well, his name is technically John, but he goes by Jack. And he was born on the island of Cadence, which is a land where the spirits rule, I guess, kind of. So that's where the elemental stuff comes in, because there's spirits of water, fire, earth, and air. And there are 2 human clans on this island, and they have been pretty much at war with each other, or at least like at odds with each other for eons. And I don't remember the names of the clans. One starts with a B and one starts with an L. The clan that Jack belongs to is the one that starts with an L, and they live to the east, and they are cursed to, like, the people will, like, be, I don't know how to describe this, like, the land will flourish, but the people will suffer. We can say it that way. But then the clan to the west, the one that starts with B, they are cursed so that the people will flourish, but the land will suffer. So that's an interesting situation. So when Jack was 11, he was sent to the mainland, which he was sad for, but also grateful, because he doesn't know who his dad is, and he was always like mercilessly teased and bullied for that, and so it was kind of like an escape for him. And so for the past 10 years, he's been training as a bard until he gets a letter from the lord of his clan. Only, plot twist, it wasn't the lord, it was the lord's daughter, who is like his nemesis from when they were children. She forged this letter, knowing that if the letter was signed with her name, then Jack would not have come back to the island. But she's like, hey, I need your help because children, little girls, are going missing. And so that's just very interesting mystery at the heart of it. I really like the magic that we've got going on. One thing that I've noticed is that this book and A Queen's Rising, more so this book, but both of them definitely, are very Scotland inspired, which I didn't expect. And it's not bad, it's just a little bit weird at times. Like, there's been a few places in this book where there's just the Scottish word, or I guess the Scots word for something, and like, why? It's just a little bit strange for it to just be kind of like slipped in there like that. But other than that, I am really enjoying this. I'm having a great time. But I think there are 2 parts left. I'm pretty sure there are 3 parts of this book, and I am going to keep reading. I think I said it's just past 10 p.m., and normally I'd be going to bed, but Katie Ann is streaming. She's doing her late night stream, so I am going to be staying up till 1 a.m. if I stay up for the whole stream. I don't know if I'm going to stay up for the whole stream, but I'll be staying up for at least part of it. And I'm just going to keep reading because I'm having a good time. So I will get back to that. I'm going to make a cup of tea first. Ooh, I hiccuped. I'm going to make a cup of tea and then get back to reading. And I will probably not see you tonight. Maybe I will. I don't know if I'll be able to finish part 2. I don't know how many chapters are in it. Part 1 was only 9 chapters, but I think part 2 is longer. Yeah, I will keep going, and I will see you at some point when I finished part 2 of A River Enchanted. Good morning, friends. It is Saturday, and I'm here to tell you that I finished part 2 of A River Enchanted. I read about half of part 2 last night during Katie Ann's stream, although I guess it's last night / this morning because I did in fact stay up the whole stream, so until like 1 a.m. That's fine. But I did read about half of it during Katie Ann's stream, and then the other half this morning. It's so good, you guys. This book is so good. It's not like a perfect 10 out of 10, definitely not. There are some things where I'm like, that's a little bit weird, but I think it's feeling about an 8 out of 10 right now. It's really good, and the tension right now is delicious. I can't wait to see what happens next. I am so tempted to just keep reading. I think I have 11 chapters left, if I counted correctly. I don't know. I was just scrolling the table of contents and like counting. I think it's 11 chapters, and I really want to read them right now, but I have other things to get off my to-do list for the day, so I'm going to call it here and get some other stuff done. But then tonight, when I've finished all my other stuff, I'm gonna be reading because I need to know what happens next. I need to know how this plays out. Oh, it's real good. I'm having a great time. Yes, I think first on the agenda is lunch because it's like 11 something. So I'm gonna eat, then get other things done. I'll come back to you at the end of this book. Hopefully that's tonight. I really wish that I could carve out enough time tonight to read it. So we'll see if that happens. If not, then it's definitely gonna be early tomorrow. But yeah, I'll see you at that point. Okay, friends, I'm back. It is about 8:15, and I have finished reading A River Enchanted. I definitely enjoyed this a lot more than The Queen's Rising. I actually understand where a sequel is going to go, or at least I have ideas of what could happen in a sequel, unlike the last book, which genuinely just felt like a standalone with a conclusive ending. But I do have the same complaint in that the relationship dynamics were good. I just feel like it was either explored too much off page, like the dynamic progression was off page more often than on page, or it was very sudden when it was on page, like things of that nature. Like the relationship dynamics were good, just the way that they were explored in the story could have been executed better, if that makes sense. That's really my only critique of this. It was a really fun time. This is very clearly a book by the same author as The Queen's Rising, though. You can tell the like Scottish inspirations were there in like very similar ways, like they were played out. you can tell that it's very similar themes and questions explored in the narratives. So, like, if I didn't know that they were by the same author and I read these two books, I'd be like, wow, these might be by the same author. Like, genuinely, you can tell just from the stories. Um, yeah. So, I am going to do my journal spread, and then tomorrow I'm going to get started on the third and final book for this vlog, and that is Divine Rivals. Obviously, of course it's Divine Rivals. That's like Rebecca Ross's biggest novel. It's the first one I heard about, and then I also heard about A River Enchanted afterwards. So yeah, I am nervous but also excited. This is the one that I've heard a lot of people say, why was this a fantasy book? It should have just been like World War II historical fiction or something like that. But I will have to see for myself how I feel. I do like historical fantasy books, so if it like draws upon like World War II vibes, even if it's not actually set then, I feel like I'm going to dig that. This is of course Rivals to Lovers because it is divine rivals, and it's also like accidental communication, I think. And there's this war between the gods. I don't know anything else besides that. I don't even know the characters' names. I really am going into these books so blind. The only thing I know about Divine Rivals, like the only reason I know what I do know, is because it's so big on the internet in the past year. So, I am gonna go now. I did look up, actually, before I go, I did look up the table of contents for Divine Rivals, and it is also split into parts. So, shout out to Rebecca Ross for doing me a solid and putting her books into parts to give me easy places to pause and update this vlog. But yes, I'm going to get started on that tomorrow, and I will see you once I've gotten into Divine Rivals. Hello, friends. It is 10 p.m. on the dot. I can hear the cat food going off automatically because it's on a timer and it goes off at 10 p.m. And I'm here to tell you that I have finished part 1 of Divine Rivals. I started it during my stream and I was instantly hooked. It's so good, you guys. Oh my god. I was a little bit wary about this one because I've heard mixed things. I've heard people either really love it or really don't love it. And I was nervous, but I am, at least so far, firmly in the camp of loving this. It's so good. It really reminds me of A Winter's Promise in terms of vibes by Christelle Dabos. So if you've read that and enjoyed it, then I would say give Divine Rivals a try, or if you've read and enjoyed Divine Rivals, give A Winter's Promise a try. It's so good. I'm hooked. So if you don't know what Divine Rivals is about, basically, it's this World War II vibes. This world where there used to be gods until they all fought and killed each other, and then there were few enough left that the humans could, like, overpower them and basically put them into sleep. And then, at the time of the story, 2 of those gods that are left have woken up and they're at war with each other. And of course, gods need humans to fight their wars for them. So there's this war going on, and that's where the World War II vibes really come in. And we do have 2 main characters, but it's mostly from the one person's point of view. There's just like a few scenes from the other person. So our like main character is Iris, and she is dealing with a lot. They're both dealing with a lot, but like we learned about Iris first, and her brother is off fighting on one side of this war, and her mother is not doing well. She's dealing with depression and alcohol addiction, and we don't know about her dad. Never been mentioned. And so Iris quits school and she gets a job at this newspaper. And her rival at the newspaper, they're both going for this same promotion, is Roman Kit. And I love that name. I think it's such a great name. It's Roman C. Kit, and there's like a gag for this first part at least, where whenever Iris like thinks of his name, she uses a different adjective in the middle, and they're not nice adjectives, but like they start with C as if they were his middle name, and it's really funny. but he is this like rich boy, always has everything handed to him, but he's dealing with his own traumas. There's a car going by while I'm filming that's so rude, but I didn't expect this book to be so full of trauma. I genuinely was like gasping, grabbing my head, going like, what am I reading? My boyfriend was like, what is going on? I genuinely am so invested already. But yes, they are rivals at this newspaper, and Iris has been sending letters to her brother through the magic of this wardrobe because like she lives in an enchanted apartment building and like magic is kind of wonky, and so she like slips them under the wardrobe door and then they disappear. And after 3 months of this, she gets a letter back saying, hey, by the way, you're not actually sending these letters to your brother, you're sending them to me. And so a little bit of a correspondence begins for a week or two between these two people before something happens. And Iris doesn't know who these letters are going to, but Roman is who they're going to, and he is able, through context clues, to figure out that it is Iris that he's talking to. And like, delicious. I love like secret identities and like correspondence like that. It's very similar to what I have going on in my own story. The first book in the Roll for Romance series has like secret identity correspondence in it. It's reminding me of A Cinderella Story, that movie with Hilary Duff and Chad Michael Murray. Is that who's the male lead? I think so. It's just something that I eat up and I don't see often enough. But yes, I finished part 1, and y'all, I just am so obsessed. I'm gonna stay up and read a few more chapters because my boyfriend's not quite ready to come to bed yet. But like, if I didn't have to go to bed when he went to bed, which technically I don't, I could stay up and like read in my office or something, but I'm gonna be responsible. But if I wasn't about to be responsible, I would stay up and read this whole thing in one go. That's how invested I am. Like, I'm genuinely obsessed. But alas, sleep is necessary, so I'm gonna go to bed. Well, I'm gonna read a couple chapters and then go to bed, and I will see you tomorrow when I finish part 2, because obviously I'm gonna finish part 2 tomorrow, and I'm probably also gonna finish part 3. Like, why would I not? Why would I not read it if I'm this obsessed already? So, yeah, I'll see you when I finish part 2. Hello, friends. It is just about 4 p.m. on Monday, and today has been a day of getting things done, which is great, except it means that I haven't been able to read as much as I wanted to today. So I have been able to sneak in about 30-40 minutes of reading, and that combined with how much I got read last night before bed has gotten it to the end of part 2. Y'all, this book, I didn't have like tears spilling out of my eyes, but like I was welling up several times. Like, this has me so emotional. It's so good. Genuinely, I'm loving this. It's making my top books of the year list, like, without a doubt. There's still like another third of the book to go, and that scares me because I'm loving this so much already. What if it just tanks? But like, as long as it continues on how it's been, it's not going to. It's just going to continue to be great. So why worry about the worst when I can expect the best, you know? But yeah, it's really good. I love it so much. And I understand people who were, I don't want to say disappointed because I don't know if that's the right word, but like, who read this book and were like, why even bother adding the godly magical element to it? Why not just make this a World War II book? But like, first of all, then that kind of wouldn't work for the story because the only way these two people are able to like communicate is because they're magical typewriters. But like, you could write your way around that and make another way for them to like become correspondents. But like, I like World War II vibes. Like, I've read a couple of World War II historical fiction and enjoyed them. And this story, like, yeah, it could work, but I don't think I would love it if it didn't have the fantastical elements. They're not like super big in your face, but they're definitely an integral part of the story, and I feel like some part of this like soul of the story would be missing if it was just straight up historical fiction, if it wasn't like a fantasy book. So that's just my opinion on it. I'm having such a great time, and now unfortunately I have to get back to doing other things. I still have like 6 items to check off of my to-do list, and I really should get to them. So I'm gonna do those. Then, well, technically I only have 5 because one of the things on my to-do list was to update this vlog. So that's good. That's one less thing. But anyway, I'm gonna get to doing stuff and then read more of this. And I'm like really hoping I can finish this tonight because I need to know what happens. I'm so invested in this. It's so good. Yeah, so I'm gonna get going, and I will see you guys when I finish reading Divine Rivals. So I know we still have a few more weeks left in December, so I can't say for certain what my top book of the year is gonna be, but like, Divine Rivals is giving top book of the year. Genuinely, like, I'm shook. Like, I don't know how to exist right now. I want so badly to just pick up Ruthless Vows, but I'm not going to because I've made the executive decision that I'm going to do the part 2 to this vlog and finish all 3 of these duologies because I think that'll be a fun time. Oh my god, you guys, this book. What the heck? This was so. How did I not read this sooner? I mean, it is a recent release. Was it last year? Did it come out last year? I don't know. I've known about it for months and months at this point, and I needed to have picked it up sooner. Like, why did I wait so long? This is so good. Like, top 3 favorite books of all time good. If you're curious, the other 2 are The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones. Of course, I never shut up about that book. And An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson, which I think if we're going off of vibes, I would definitely place Rebecca Ross with Emily Lloyd Jones and Margaret Rogerson. So if you like 1 or 2 of these 3 authors, maybe give the others of them a try. To me, at least, they feel very similar in terms of vibes and emotions. I didn't cry. Almost did. Many, 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 many times, though. This was so good. And the ending of this book? What the heck? How am I meant to go on? How am I meant to just pick up another book after this? What? Why? How? I don't even know. I'm just genuinely in shock because I adore this book and I didn't expect it. I expected to enjoy it. I expected to have, like, a lot going for it, and I expected to have a good time reading it. I feel ridiculous filming this clip, but genuinely, this is my, like, most sincere reaction to this book. I was reading downstairs for much of the evening. It's like 8 p.m. now. I did do some of the things that I was going to do from my to-do list, but not all of them before I picked Divine Rivals back up. My bad. But I was sitting downstairs, and my boyfriend must be so annoyed with me because I was, like, genuinely gasping and, like, reacting. At one point, I stood up and said, I'm going to throw up, and had to walk away from my computer. I was reading it on my computer. I literally had to walk away because my emotions were getting the better of me. Like, y'all, I am gonna need 11 business days to recover from this. Oh my god. Yeah, so I think my boyfriend's calling for me. I'll be right back to give my final update on this. Okay, the cat was just trying to eat a Christmas ornament. Nothing out of the ordinary. Chloe's a bit strange. Where was I? Divine Rivals. What else can I say? This has been a wild vlog. We had The Queen's Rising, which I originally gave a 7 out of 10, but thinking back on it, especially having since read Rebecca Ross's more recent books and having seen how much she's improved as a writer, really puts into perspective how bland that book was. And I feel bad, because, like, it's not bad. There was nothing, like, definitively awful about it. It just wasn't giving anything. I'm gonna go back and I think change that to a 6 out of 10. And then we had A River Enchanted, that's what it's called. I got confused because Divine Rivals, like that duology, is called The Letters of Enchantment, and then you have A River Enchanted. Too similar. One thing I did notice, I don't know if I mentioned this, Rebecca Ross really enjoys the word eventide, which is like an old form of evening. It was a big part of the Queen's Rising. Like there's a magic stone called the Eventide Stone, and then it was used in A River Enchanted a couple of times. And then literally on the first page of Divine Rivals, it mentions how it's eventide. And like I don't think that she used it again in Divine Rivals. I think it was just that one time, but like reading these 3 books back to back, it's really funny to have noticed her love of that word. I mean, it's a good word. It was just really interesting. But yeah, River Enchanted, 8 out of 10. Really enjoyed it. Definitely excited to see what happens in the second one because it ended off on like a very emotional separation, which like so did Divine Rivals, but in a completely different way. But like, yeah, Divine Rivals, man. I think I've said my piece, even though I've said maybe like 10 words about it, but I think my inability to make a full sentence is testament enough to how much I am affected by this book. Oh, yes. So I have decided that I'm going to do a second vlog of me finishing out these duologies because it'll be fun. I have a long list already of other authors that I want to do this like taste test vlog format for, but also feel free to recommend more in the comments, especially if you have like specific books in mind for different authors, because I can always add more to the list. But I am hoping to do a few in the new year, try out some new authors like this. But we've now come to the end of this video. It's been crazy, guys. It's been mostly a good time. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to just like sit in the corner and think about Divine Rivals for a little while, so I'm gonna skedaddle and do that. Thank you all for watching this. If you've enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!